Hey, this is Christoph from DataBridge. Today I would like to talk to you about Qlik's data types and how to correct data interpretation upon import if the automatic detection of data types does not work. And this typically happens in international scenarios. Let's see the details around functions like date, timestamp and num and how to trick them. Okay, now typically what you would do, you create a new app and the first thing you go is the big button and you go into add data. I want to point out what's happening behind the scene and I will intentionally go to this small button here and that's the script editor. And now note that the first 19 lines of script, which are key to the date and time and number interpretation, are already pre-filled without noticing it. Here, for example, it says that the date format will be month/date/year, or that the decimal sign is going to be a dot. So these first 19 lines are automatically interpreted from the operating system of the Sense server. Now let's assume you will load some data. And this data is delivered in exactly the same format. You got this as in the local of US English, and the data is also just formatted in the same manner. You will have no issues. What you got here is a date field in the right format. How can I tell? Well, it's because it's right aligned. And like in Excel, if it's right aligned, it's a number. And then let's also add the second field. And this is just the average of the measure. And also this is interpreted as a number and you're good. Okay, now let's take another example that I prepared. And let's assume the data you get is not in the US format, but it's German format. And the dates are formatted like this time, and it's a comma for decimal sign. So this on an environment where the server has created US English prefix in the first 19 lines will just lead to the data to be not readable. I mean, the date field will be imported and the number field too, but it's going to be a text. You can see here, it's left aligned. It's just text with no meaning to Qlik. Of course, what you can do is fix the settings. If you're just working out of Germany, it's going to be a German app at the end. Well, just correct the international settings, make it like the German date format, and deliver the data in the same format. Again, it's like in the US to US example before, you'll be good. But now let's look into the mix modes. Let's assume your date settings have to be ISO. So this is like international. And still the data file you get is from Germany. Again, this will not be correctly interpreted because the date format does not come along like this. But now you have to use a conversion function. And there are two types of conversion functions: text to number and number to text. So what we need here is something that Qlik would read as a text otherwise into a number. And if that's the case, this is the function that ends with a hash. So it's date hash. It's not date. I've seen this misused a lot. So you go date field and you specify the format how to read this. So specifically this is day, day, month, month, year, 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 year. And this is going to be the date field. And the same for the number. Here we have to specify 3 arguments. The first argument will be how the number is formatted. I don't care. So typically the only thing I'm interested in is what is the sign for the decimal sign. And this is the second argument. And the sign for decimal is a comma. And the last argument is the thousand separation. Let's just put a space here, which is the neutral thousand separator. And if I load this now, my data will be correctly interpreted type-wise. So it's right aligned. But what I don't like here, the number is formatted with a comma. I want to have this in ISO standard, and also the date. Now it is a date. That means I can apply functions like year, and this will go well, but I don't have it in the ISO format. And this is the second function that I mentioned. So this time it is already a number, and now it's number to text. So I want this to become a text. And now you're cascading both functions. And if I load this now, I will see the ISO format, because that's what the first 19 lines of my script were specifying. And it's making a dot for the decimal sign. If you do not like this, you can also use a different format here. Now let's assume for one particular reason you want to go back to the US format. So you do M, then day, then year, 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 year. You can do that. And this will take the text and convert it again into a different format. But if you do not give an argument for the number to text function, it just takes whatever was specified here in case of a date, or in case of a timestamp, or a thousand or decimal sign. Internally, Qlik interprets all numeric values with a number part plus an assignable text part. This is called a trual type. And here it's a good example to see what is the number behind it. You can go num date field. The internal interpretation of my birthday is 27,258. Speaking about time components, there's another thing you should know. So if we, let's say, have timestamps, I also often see people think that if they use date, it's only returning the date component. And then people are getting confused. Why do I see the same date twice? This should be one and the same date, right? Because I used the date function. No, you didn't. You formatted two different numbers to be textually represented by the same text, but it's two different numbers still. So here is the numeric part. You can see what's happening. So to get a real truncation of the timestamp, you have to use a function called floor. So really this cuts away the decimals and resets the clock, so to speak, to the start of the day. And now you see it's now only one line here, and the number representation of it is just identical. Let's summarize the 3 things we learned. First of all, check the settings that already exist when the app is created. The first 19 lines, and check especially in the first 8 lines what your timestamp format reads here and your decimal separator, thousand separator. This is a general default for the whole app. Then number 2, if you have to read data from different international sources and they are formatted in a different way, then use the respective hash function, which means text to number. That could be a num hash function like here, that could be a date or timestamp hash function. And if you still have to format it, after that, use it cascaded num and num hash, respectively date and date hash. And lastly, if you want to remove a time component from a date, do not use the date alone. You need to use the floor function. And that's it, actually. I hope with these tricks you can work with your international data quite well. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.